Thank you very much, Rob, and good morning, everyone. This has been a very interesting morning, and I'm delighted to be here, and I think all of us are learning a great deal about many of the countries that we have visited. I, as Rob said, have visited all of the BRICS countries, but also those who are emerging as BRICS countries: Indonesia, Turkey, Nigeria, Egypt, and I believe they will all become BRICS countries shortly. But we know of all these BRICS and emerging markets that the most rapid growth is in Asia. And being in a region in which there are at least one BRIC country and possibly more than one BRIC country, it gives aspiring countries and companies premier access to those fast-growing markets for trade and investment. And this is the first lesson of BRICS, and it's that geography matters. So let me begin with Asia. Many of you know Asia Society. Rob just mentioned it. It was founded by John D. Rockefeller III, and it works to build bridges with Asia in business and policy, in education, and in arts and culture. And tomorrow, Asia Society will launch the Asia Society Policy Institute, which will be one half business and one half policy. And it will feature Henry Kissinger and the ambassador from the Republic of China, as well as Deputy Secretary of State Bill Burns and many others. But what is unique about this is that it will become a policy ground, a common ground that will be even for policy and business and for anyone who is doing business in Asia. Last week, we announced a report with Rhodium Group that showed that Chinese technology companies have splurged on major acquisitions in the United States with high-tech firms in the first quarter of 2014. And in pursuit of those markets in technology and talent in the United States, Dan Rosen, the co-author of the report, said that this ought to be the most positive new trend in bilateral economic relationships in the last several decades. But unfortunately, cybersecurity questions are looming, and as a result, the positive story is being tinted as a potentially anxious one. So let me turn to India. USAID is working to transform their 60-year relationship with India from a traditional donor-recipient relationship over several decades into one that is truly a joint, even, country-to-country joint venture. They partner to develop and test and deploy cost-effective innovations that address global challenges in health, in food, in security, in climate change, and in education. In the last decade, there's been a 57% reduction in new HIV infections as a result of USAID's partnership with the government of India. Additionally, with USAID's assistance, India reduced greenhouse gas emissions by 99 million tons from 1995 to 2011 through more efficient power generation, leading to savings of 1.5 billion. And thousands of farmers in agricultural-dependent Uttar Pradesh were able to reduce production costs by 37% with an increase in yields of 44% through the use of new tools and techniques introduced by USAID and the government of India. This only translates, though, into long-term growth and financial strength if there are strong markets for products and services, strong markets to buy and sell businesses, strong markets to grow, and an ease of starting and operating a business. This is the second lesson of the BRICS. Size and diversity of markets matters. We will see more developing countries becoming BRICS. Indonesia and Turkey are potential candidates for full membership for BRICS, and Egypt, Iran, and Nigeria have expressed interest in joining. Indonesia's GDP rose from approximately 250 billion in 2004 to nearly 900 billion in 2012. Growth is expected to be 5.3% for 2014, according to the World Bank. Turkey's GDP doubled from approximately 400 billion to 800 billion from 2004 to 2012, including a 9.2% annual GDP growth rate in 2010. Then it went down to 2.2% in 2012, rising again to 4.3% in 2013, and projections of 3.5% growth in 2014. And according to the 2014 Ease of Doing Business report, Turkey ranks 69, Indonesia 120, Egypt 128, Nigeria 147. But where companies find an ease of doing business, their companies will go, and mergers and acquisitions will go. So it'll be interesting to watch these higher-ranking countries. Let us turn to Brazil. We've had some wonderful presentations. We all know that partnerships are the golden ticket to leveraging resources in all sectors, and there are so many examples. At USAID, the partnership team shifted from aid to investment, working with host nations in building sustainable models. One example is Maíz Unidos Group, a partnership with the US mission and US companies, in which they leveraged technical assistance and expertise. They created a governance structure, a board of directors, a steering committee, and an investment fund where companies can make financial contributions and invest in each other. Another example is the strategic partnership model involving trilateral cooperation. USAID and Brazil work with the Brazilian Agency for Cooperation, which is USAID's counterpart, and they assist and help third world countries, including Mozambique, Haiti, and Honduras. It's a way to pool resources in order to work and produce greater results. It helps transform the agency into a modern, efficient enterprise, and it helps the countries in which they work and the companies within those countries. In December 2013, the Coca-Cola Company announced a $16 million collaboration with Brazil with the Inter-American Development Bank to refine and expand Coletivo, a platform to strengthen local communities and to build businesses, life skills education, and access to economic opportunity in Brazil. The curriculum piloted in 12 Brazilian cities and in 3 Latin American countries. In Brazil alone, expansion is expected to include an additional 30,000 people. Beginning in 2009, the Coletivo platform was designed to equip young people throughout Brazil with the technical and life skills required to access to employment. Colectivo has now expanded to include 7 models across the system's value chain, including retail, arts, recycling, entrepreneurship, logistics, events, and forests. And what I like about this model is that there is training and the ability of small businesses to make a profit all along the value chain of a larger multinational. By year-end 2013, the Coletivo models launched 550 programs across Brazil and impacted 70,000 people. This contributes to many of the local participants, but it also reaches out to women, and 70% of the participants are women. And this is the third lesson of the BRICS. Merger and acquisition candidates and transactions can be startups. They can be vertical or horizontal business integrations, products or services for larger multinationals that are very focused. BRICS are varied and they are resilient economies, and growth prospects can be found everywhere. It is also the fourth lesson of the BRICS. Demography in many of the BRICS are young consumers, young employees, young entrepreneurs who are in their teens, 20s, and early 30s. As you look around the world, and we will see more statistics as the day goes on, these will be extremely important markets for us, and by the year 2020, we anticipate that 50% of our consumers' employees will be in this group. The fifth lesson of the BRICS is to invest beside or in partnership pools with bilateral and multilateral agencies, as well as large multinational companies. You will access equity, loans, training, technical capacity, and policy assistance. For instance, with the International Finance Corporation, the World Bank, USAID, DFID, as well as other multilaterals. Sanjay Sarma's his presentation a minute ago talks about roads and electrification that open up villages. And many of these are partnerships with these organizations who will do the funding and the technical assistance and working with the villages. As an example of multinational companies, the ExxonMobil Foundation has invested $70 million to date to help community-based global partners implement programs benefiting tens of thousands of women in over 90 countries. The program's focus has 3 areas: developing women as entrepreneurs and business leaders through skills development training, mentoring programs, and business women's networks. Second, investing in research to help guide smart networks and investments. And three, identifying and deploying high-impact technologies to accelerate women's economic advancement. These will all see the ripple effects of investing in women. But investing in women is not just good for a society, it's also good for business, and it is good for the merger and acquisition work in developing countries and economies. In 2008, a report by Credit Suisse Research Institute demonstrated that the shares of companies with a market capitalization of more than $10 billion with women board members outperformed comparable businesses with all male boards by 26% worldwide over a period of 6 years. And just last week, a New York Times article reported that according to a new study from China, boards with women have a reduction in fraud. Fraud and corruption are significant worries for cross-border and in-country merger and acquisition transaction. The study claims that women suffered less from overconfidence than men and were more risk-averse. Canadian research has been showing the same trend. Both corporations and corporate boards were higher performing when more women served on their boards and in their governing structure. The Chinese study states the optimal percentage of women on boards is 50%, but we do not yet have that in any country in the world. In 2010, a McKinsey report analyzing the composition governing bodies of 441 companies from 6 European countries, BRIC countries, and the United States showed that the number of women holding governing positions was still lower than that of men. The greatest gender diversity was recorded in the Nordic countries of Norway and Sweden, and the lowest gender diversity in BRIC countries. Russia has many highly trained women. Fewer women are on executive committees than in Europe or in the United States, but more that are in some BRIC countries. According to the most recent reports from Catalyst, statistics show that board seats held by women by country for our BRICS countries are Brazil at 7.7%, Russia at 4.8%, India at 4.7%, China at 8.1%, and South Africa at 17.1%. The United States is just a little under 17% of board seats that are held by women. And this is the last lesson. The participation of women is a useful indicator, a high potential indicator in a country or a company of performance and good governance. And when you are assembling governing boards in mergers and acquisitions, seek out women. By encouraging STEM education, entrepreneurship, and gender diversity in the corporate world, and by improving access to resources so that women can make advances in these areas, we will see great strides in societies and many ripple effects will manifest, not only in our BRICS countries, but also globally. So thank you very much.